installing new headlights into my Jeep Wrangler Unlimited. It is a 2014, but can't really see anything with the headlights that are in it currently. So I went ahead on Amazon and found these headlights for about $148. And they do have the halo ring, and they also came with the fog lights. The halo's in white, and then it also flashes amber with your turn signals on your Jeep. Now this process is going to be the same for non-halo headlights of this same magnitude, but you're not going to have to run extra wires to your fuse box or anywhere else. So firstly, we're going to back out the Jeep and mark where the high beams and low beams are on the wall, so when we get the new ones installed, we can adjust them so we're not blinding everyone on the road. I'm actually going to adjust them a little farther down than normal, just because I heard these are so bright and you still get flashed even though they're at factory. So I'm going to go ahead and back out the Jeep just a little bit because it is raining. And we'll get started. So you can see I have the Jeep backed out now, and I actually have the low beam headlights on. Just do a little quick comparison before we actually change them out. You can see they're dim, yellow, kind of gross. And it is still daylight, but you can't see them on the wall. So these are the low beams right now. Alright, so I'm just going to take some electrical tape here and mark the wall of the low beams. So you can see there's not a clear cutoff. Just do it right in the middle of that little gradient there. So now I'm going to switch it to high beams. And you can see it's quite a bit higher than the low beams, but still really not that bright. So I'm quickly just going to mark those as well. Right about there. And actually, since I have factory fog lights, I'm going to wire those or mark those as well. So you can see that they're pretty low, and I kind of want to keep them that low. And actually, I think mine are slightly too high. But we'll mark the fog lights as well because there are adjusters on there. So since I backed my Jeep out, I pulled it up right to the lip of my garage, so I remember next time when I'm aiming them where exactly I was backed out to. So I'm going to pull back in now because it is the heart of winter in Pennsylvania. We're supposed to get tons of snow and ice. So I'm going to do this in the comfort of my garage that I wish was heated. Alright, now that I have my Jeep pulled in, we're going to get our tools set up right here. So what came in this box were the headlights. And this connector would just be if you're connecting it to like a Jeep TJ. I used to have one, but I just sold it last week, which is kind of sad. And then you have your, I think it's H4 to whatever adapter for this Jeep. These ones particularly have the anti-flicker harness on the inside, so you don't have to buy any additional wiring for this setup. Now the fog lights are pretty much the same thing. A direct tap into your fog lights with this adapter piece, and this is for the halo. They also give you some wiring and the adjuster tool for the fog lights, but this wiring kind of seems a little cheap, but I bought my own, so we're not really going to use them. I don't really remember. Oh, here it is. A bit of spool of wire in here. I have soldering iron because I want all my connections to be good and not have to worry about it. There's multiple ways to install these, but I'm going to use a fuse tap because I do not want my yellow ambers on when my halos are on. I just don't think it's as clean. So I'm going to wire it to the fuse box, so when I turn the ignition on, then the halos will come on. I don't have to worry about turning the parking lights on or So then they're true daytime driving lights, or whatever you guys want to call them. So I might actually add a switch for the inside in case it's like a really sunny day and I don't want them on or whatever, or if it's in the winter and I'm just warming my Jeep up for me before work. So I'm just going to wire it right through the fuse box. I'm going to wire all 4 of them to one fuse tap. I've seen it done before, so we shouldn't really have any problem. This is 18 gauge wire. I suggest 16 gauge, but I could only find these splicers in 18 gauge, so I had to go with those. So I'm going to also splice the 2 headlights into the turn signal lights so they flash with the right turn signal. But this wire is rated for, I think, 13 amps before anything could even happen to it. So the highest fuse that I have is 10 amps. I'm probably going to try to put a 7.5 in there and make sure it's fine. If it's fine with that and doesn't blow a fuse, I don't have to worry about this wire. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be fine. Again, these fuse taps, quick splices are going to splice into my turn signal lights, so I don't have to cut them, solder them together. All you have to do is put them in there and crimp them, and you run the wire from there. You're also going to need a Torx bit set. I don't know exactly which one you need. I think it's a T15 if I'm not mistaken, but you will need some tools and some flathead screwdrivers, as well as a Phillips head screwdriver. I do have a wire stripper and wire crimper. I usually just use my teeth to strip the wires because I do it a lot. And it's not bad to have some heat shrink wrap as well, just because if you're especially off-roading, you want to keep all your connections waterproof so you don't have any water in there. Oh, I just messed that all up. But all the wiring stuff, the splices and stuff, is only if you have this halo ring. So if you don't have the halo ring, you don't have to worry about it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the hood and we're going to take the grill off. Alright, I'm hoping you can see this because I have to have my headlamp on because my lighting in my garage isn't very good. And I have my GoPro on my head so I can use both hands. So you're going to have clips on top of your grill here. And to take them off, you'll see that there's a little gap in between there. You want to pop that open, just like that, and you can pull the whole thing out. Well, not like that. It wouldn't be too bad of an idea to put some tape on the end of your screwdriver so you're not scratching this up too bad. But there are 6 of these on top here. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove these. Once you have all those clips removed, you can basically pull the grill off. So there's a couple tabs down here that are body clipped in, and you want to be careful not to pull too hard because your turn signals are still attached. So I'm just going to grab right here on both sides and just give it a little yank. Or not. Start with one side. There we go. Alright, and you'll see my turn signal lights. You're just going to twist them to get them out. It's like so. You can also detach the harness, but we want to see there. Oh, we got some rust touch up we need to do there. But that's how you get your grill off. And removing the headlights is just as easy. You're going to have a Torx head here. I believe, again, it's a T15. So I'm going to grab that and clean this up real quick. Alright, so I've started taking out the screws in the headlight. There are 4 of them. They are a T15. I already have 2 out. So we're going to take the other 2 out here. You have all the screws out. You can pull this metal piece from around the headlight. And remember that the seam goes on the bottom of the light. Mine's actually a little bent, but whatever. And here's the headlight itself. So you're going to pull up on this little red tab here. And then you're going to grab this little button at the top here and squeeze it, and you should just be able to pull it out. Just like that. So I'm going to repeat the same process for the left-hand side. Just to save time, I'm not going to show you because it's the same process. Alright, so I have the other one out, and I actually just plugged in the harness for the new headlight. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. I'll show you that. To know which way is up and down, the dot SAE goes on the top. So just remember that. So I'm just going to plug them both in right now and test them out and make sure they work. And then I'm either going to install the halo portion or the fog lights. So the fog lights are going to be a little bit harder. So these just plug right in here. Can be a little tricky. Just got to wiggle it in like so. I'm going to set it down. Plug it in. You'll hear a snap. Hopefully you can hear it. Yep, and then you're going to lock it down. Alright, I'm going to turn them on. And a thing to note is, I'm pretty sure you have to have them both plugged in since this is a canvas Jeep. It's all computerized pretty much. I'm pretty sure you have to have both headlights plugged in for them to work. So now that I have both plugged in, we're going to turn them on. Wow! And they work. Something I noticed, the halos are on right now. I'm not really quite sure why. I think they just come on when you're driving. But they are super bright. And the halos look good too. There's no missing LEDs. So we're going to try high beams. And both high beams work. Alright, before I go any further, whether installing these or putting the fog lights in, I'm going to go over to the fuse box here. And the fuse that I'm going to be using is M9, which, let me confirm right here, yep, is right here. And there's actually a hole right beside it. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it, but you can run your wire all the way through that. So let's see if I can show you. This wire's not very organized here, okay. So it's going to take a little fishing. I already tested this out to get it through, but it will go through. And you will see it does come out the bottom, right here. A lot of guys, I've seen them fish it out the side, and you should actually cut a slot, but you don't really want to do that because there is a gasket on this fuse block or box, so water doesn't get into it. This might be a breather hole or a water drain in case water does get into it, but it's really loose in there, so water can still drain if needed. I highly doubt it's ever going to be there. And it could also breathe if it gets too hot or moisture gets in there, whatever. But it's a nice clean way to run your wire instead of running it right out the side. And I'm also going to take my fuse tap here. And I'm going to start with the 7.5, I believe. Yeah, 7.5. Just to see if it works. And since that's an empty spot for me, I think it's for, if I'm not mistaken, it's for seat warmers. So if you have seat warmers, this is still going to work. You're going to take the fuse out of your thing here, and there's actually a fuse remover here, if no one knew that. And it's going to go in the bottom row. And the halos are going to go in the top. That's what you're tapping into. It's basically just another place to have an accessory. So I'm not going to install it the whole way. I just want to get a test. So I heard they're hard to get out of here. So for now, it's just going to stick like that. And then I will eventually solder this and tap this and then run it around, but I don't really want to do that just yet. So now I'm going to start running the wire for the halos here, and that would be the red wire here. The green wire is going to go to one of these turn signal wires. I have to refresh myself which one. I know the black one's ground, and one of them is just to turn on the light. I'm going to do that for both sides. I'm going to use some connectors that fit right into here, like these, and I'm going to solder them on, so we shouldn't have to worry about anything. Then I'm going to run the wire somewhere clean up in here. So I real quickly just wanted to show you what was going on here. So this is the connector they gave me, and I really don't want to have it spliced into here and then go on from there. So I have my own connectors. I crimped it and soldered it on and put a piece of heat shrink on it, so it's a lot cleaner of a wire. Now this wire is a little bit thicker, but this is also, they're both 18 gauge, so this one just has a thicker casing, which is actually probably better, but it is actually the exact same wire thickness. Alright, I have my wire ran for this headlight. I just have it up here right now. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to run it. I think I want to run it either on top or right underneath this shroud. I kind of wanted to keep it away from the radiator because it could get a little warm. So this plastic shroud should keep it away from it. And I might just zip tie it to some of these holes or something once I get some zip ties. And same for this one. I just have the wire run, and I have it right here. I'm going to make all the connections somewhere around here, probably right here, and run it real nice and neat up and through here. But all four wires are pretty much going to connect right here, so I can install it into the fuse block. This is where it gets a little different for some people. Now, I'm going to use a fuse tap. Here's the ground. The black is the ground, and the red and white wire, the farthest away from the ground, is your blinker. Now that makes the one in your middle your parking lights. So whenever that yellow light's on, whenever you turn the switch on the knob once, that's that light, and that would turn on the headlight if that's what you want. I have mine going to the fuse block, so I'm not going to splice into this middle white wire because I want mine to be on when my Jeep's on and not just when my lights are on. So I'm going to use a fuse tap in this red and white wire for this green connector, and that will be my turn signal ambers for here. This is actually my first time using one of these fuse taps, but you don't even have to splice, you don't even have to strip the wire in this. This is going to go on this inside here because there's a stopper, and then you're going to put the wire that you're tapping into on the inside, and then you're going to clamp that down and then clamp it closed. So I'm going to do that right here for you because I've actually never done it. And I'm just going to do like so. Make sure it's in there. It's definitely in there. Okay. I have it up kind of out of the way a little bit. And now I'm just going to take a clamp and clamp it down. Hopefully. Oops. So that is it. You can see it is through the wire. So I'm actually going to get some pliers, just press it down a little bit more, make sure it's completely in, if I can find any. That will be the real test. Here we go. That'll do. You're just going to clamp that down there. Yep, it's in there. And this little tab comes up, over and around, and clamps over to here. Just like so. And now you're tapped into your turn signal light. Alright, so I have the wire ran from the tap, and I put the light bulb back in, and I just want to test to see if it works. So I'm going to have to turn my key to the second position. A bunch of relays are going to go off, and I'm going to go, and as you can see, nothing's going on right now. I'm going to turn my turn signal on, and you can see it is working. Now if you don't have this bulb plugged in, after a few seconds This is going to blink a lot faster because it knows a light's missing. So we have that one good, and we're going to run the other one now. Like I said, we're going to run the other one now, and I'm going to finish running the wires up through here, and then I'm going to move on to the bumper. If you didn't get the halo fog lights, what you're going to do from here is splice these two wires together. These are for the white halos for the left and right into one wire, and then run them into the fuse block like how I showed you. The wire can come in through that little hole, and you're going to tap into it right there, and you're going to be done. But since I have the halo fog lights too, I'm not quite done. I have 2 more wires to run. Those ones do not run off the turn signal, so I don't really have to worry about tapping. Alright, I want to show you what I've done so far. So there's these 4 clips. They're almost like the ones that you took out on your grill, but a little bit bigger. And they're right here on this part. There's 4 of them, and they're the same style. I just pulled them out. And you can see I can now pull this down. And there's actually 2 more clips in here, and I'm going to go through the fender well to get those off. There's one on both sides. Alright, as you can see, I got this wind guard shroud off. Like I said, on the back here, I just reached through the wheel well there, and there's 2 more clips, one on each side, and it just falls right out. So once you do that, you can pretty much crawl under your Jeep, and you won't be able to see probably much of any of this, but you can get in there and unscrew your fog lights with a Phillips head screwdriver to install the new ones. Alright, so I got this light out and realized you can't get the light out from underneath this assembly. There's too many things in the way. So you do have to take this top shroud off. That's nice. There's a little screw hole, like a little Phillips head on these, and you try to turn them and it just strips instantly. I've never seen a person actually get them out right. So what I did is I drilled right through that center, if you can see that, and then got some vice grips on there and just yanked it out. I'm probably just going to get those regular tree body clips to replace it, but for now I can just stick those back right in the holes. It should hold that shroud no problem. So I'm just going to drill right through the center here. And actually, this one came out completely different than this one. Where the screw actually came out. Wow, never seen that happen. But anyways, I'm going to do the same thing. You can just kind of pull out the... I dropped it. Now I can just pull out the clip. Like so. And we're back in business, and I don't even have to replace this one because I didn't break it. Cool. So to get this out now, you just kind of want to mangle it like that, and it'll come right out. And as you can see, my light's sitting there. Now you can pull them out. I have the one fog light in, and the other one's still stock. I only have 2 screws in it right now. It is a pain to get them in, but just be patient. The stock ones do stick out a little bit more than these aftermarket ones, but they still look good. So we're just going to test them out real quick. Wow. And you can see the fog lights are much, much brighter, and they look good compared to the stock one. I'm going to step inside here, try to get you a better view. You can see the clear difference between the two, which one's brighter. So I'm going to finish getting the screws in, and install the other one, then I'm going to run the wire for the halo. Fog lights were in upside down. So the .SAE and whatever stamp were right side up before, and now they're upside down. But I figured out that they're upside down because they were shining way up. So I turned this one around and it's shining better, real low. And to be sure that you have them the right way, the adjustment screw for these, there's a little hole in the bottom of the bumper here that you can reach up and put the Allen key in to be able to adjust the height. If they're upside down, you won't be able to. The adjustment screw will be on top. So make sure you guys get that right so you don't have to put your fog lights in twice. And I'm not sure if you can see, but I have a little condensation in here. And what they say to do is either leave them on for a while and they'll fix themselves. As you can see, I have both the fog lights in, and they are very bright. All the lights work. And if you see on the door, they're almost as bright as my old headlights. So that's pretty cool. So I got the other one in, as you saw. It was a little bit hard because of this vacuum canister here. So just use a smaller screwdriver and you're going to have to feel. It sucks, but I wanted to show you what I did for the halos. So I have this wire here with these ends. I just realized I put the wrong end on this one. I'm going to have to redo it. But what I have here is I have them in line pretty much, so they're tapped together, so I don't have to run two wires. And then this wire is going to tap into the two headlight halos and then into the fuse box. So as you can see, I have everything wired up and the accessory key turned on, and my halos are all lit up. Now my halos between my fog lights and headlights are a slightly different temperature, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about it. So what I did since the last time I told you is I took those three wires, because I have the fog lights together down there, spliced them into one wire, soldered them, heat shrunk them, and then I stuck it through that hole like I told you about, crimped it down, put a 7.5 amp fuse in there. For now I might even go lower, honestly, because these LEDs shouldn't take anywhere near that, and I have it just sitting in there for right now, and the key is on. Okay, so now I'm going to show you headlights and fog lights are on. Headlights are on, fog lights are on, everything. I'm going to try the blinker. Working good. I'm going to try the other blinker. Perfect. My radio still works fine. That's one thing people complained about, is they were having interference with their radio. I have nothing. So now I'm just going to get everything buttoned up, throw some zip ties on here to kind of clean everything up, put everything back together, get some pictures, and that's it. I'll show you the finished product. I still have to, adjust the headlights once I get them mounted in. I also seen in a couple different places that you have to shave a little bit of this down to get this headlight in. I will let you know about that and what you have to do. So. I have everything installed. I didn't put the grille or the guards on yet because I have to adjust the lights. So I have the regular high beams on, or the regular low beams on. As you can see, they're a little bit high. So we're going to take that adjustment screw, lower that down, left down, right up. Do the same with this one. Alright, as you can see, I have it lined up with the bottom one. I did it a little bit lower than the tape just so I don't blind anyone. But above it, I can't really even tell.